Good moment, Litmus, and happy solstice.
Good moment, Anna. Yeah, how are things down in the Southern Hemisphere?
A little cold. It's dark. Got the heater on, warm and cozy, got my blanket, got my feet wrapped up.
Awesome. What a great contrast.
Yeah, it doesn't look that chilly where you are. You got the sun
Now
shining in.
the sun, this is east behind me, so there the sun's rising
Mm.
behind me here, and as you can see, I'm in my vest. Got me Celtic symbology going,
Oh, nice.
and Free Palestine, of course, as always. But yeah, so I remember when we did the first one of these, when we talked about the New Year revolution,
Mm.
um, back at like Gregorian New
Okay.
Year, and it was the other way around, right? Because you were sweating, and I was like all wrapped up in me woolies. So
Yeah, it
here we
was
are, kind
definitely
of six
that
months,
time.
almost 6 months later.
Yeah, it's been that long. This year has moved quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So should we get into it then?
Yeah, let's dive in. So you're going to show us where we are now and what the path of movement has been over since, I guess, the beginning of the zodiac, the astrological new year from Aries.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we can show any part of the cycle we want to start from. But
Mm.
yeah, let's start where the zodiac starts with Aries. So
Okay.
so I just need to share my screen to do that. So I'm going to share this really great program that we have used before called Stellarium. So hopefully you can see that.
Yeah.
All right, don't worry about all this lots of data over here on the left. So it's because I have the my cursor on the sun and it shows
Hmm.
all the data about the sun. Um,
Yeah.
But the one good little bit of data, it says here declination, which is plus 23 degrees. So it's saying the sun is right at this highest point of the cycle, all right, above the equator. So let's put this so the equator's flat.
All right. So this is where we are today. If we were both in Lisbon, that's where we'd be seeing the sun in the sky. For
That's
me,
right.
it is obviously not visible.
Yeah, if I switch this to Auckland for you, um, basically the Earth would go over here to this
Yeah.
side, and all the sky would go over to here.
And it would be black.
Yeah, all right.
It's
And then
inky
obviously,
black tonight.
yes. So, but luckily we can make it inky black as well, because what we can do with stellarium is we can turn off the Earth and we can turn off the atmosphere, and now we can see the sky as it would be if we were above the Earth in Lisbon, you know.
Yeah.
And you can see. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put on what they call. So in astronomy, they call this grid I'm going to show the ecliptic grid. All right.
Hmm.
Because it's orientated. Let me just center the sun. So it's orientated around the ecliptic, and of course the ecliptic is the apparent path of the sun in the sky, and it's the path upon which eclipses occur. So it's called the ecliptic.
Okay.
All right, and so the blue line is the equator, and the orange thicker line is the ecliptic. So this grid is orientated to the ecliptic. So we can see here we got the northern celestial pole for us in the north, and then you got your southern celestial pole down here
Hmm.
for the southern hemisphere. And if we put the equator kind of flat, anything below this blue line is southern hemisphere, and anything above is northern hemisphere, okay?
Yeah.
So if I just change the date, if I go back to March the 20th, you can see here, look, so we would have started the UCC or the zodiac year the astrological year, where the sun was crossing the equator on its journey on the ecliptic, rising
Mm.
north, yeah?
Yeah.
So if I just speed that on a little bit, as the sun moves away, you'll see the Aries symbol start to appear. So see this little Aries symbol here?
Yeah.
So that's saying that's the first point of the sign of Aries, the tropical zodiac sign of Aries, which is a month, yeah? So like we said before, so this is 30 days.
Yeah.
Because you can probably see there is these lines are 15 degrees each, all right? So two of these is 30 degrees, and that's one sign. So where the sun is now, it's just gone from Aries into Taurus. So these two bits here, that's Taurus. And then this bit here is Gemini, and then you've got a Cancer symbol here,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's basically where we're coming up to now, like tomorrow, that is, okay? So let me go
yeah.
a bit faster, and then I'll just stop it. I'll stop it there. Um, Actually, I'll go on a little bit, and you can see the Cancer symbol. Yeah, so if I stop that and just hit today, that's where we are now, okay?
Okay.
So basically this bit of the ecliptic from here to here where we are now, that's Northern Hemisphere spring,
Mm-hmm.
which is your autumn, yeah?
Yeah.
And then from tomorrow basically onwards, um we're gonna go into Northern Hemisphere summer. So this bit here is Leo, sorry, Cancer. Then this bit will be Leo, and then that bit down to there is Virgo, and then we get to the Libra symbol, and that's the end of summer in the north and the end of winter in the south. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite nice because it actually shows the cycle.
And it shows how far away the sun is from us at the moment.
Yeah, kind of,
We're
yeah.
in peak, while you're in peak light, we're in the peak of dark. So we've been in our deepest, darkest period for the last month or so.
Yeah, that's right. You're at your peak darkness and we're at our peak lightness. But wherever we are, it's the Cancer solstice. It's just for
Yeah.
us up here, the Cancer solstice is the summer solstice, and for you, it's the winter solstice, right?
Hmm. So that looks good. You
All
kind of see
right.
that.
So
Yeah.
is that okay? Should we?
That looks good. I think that's pretty clear.
I think that kind of says everything we want to say, right?
Yeah.
What I will just do, as I've just thought of it, is let me put the constellations on, and I just want to show you this one over here. So this guy here, this is Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
The water bearer. So in astrotheology, that is John the Baptist
Oh, okay.
pouring his baptismal waters
Mm.
from his jug here. So because Aquarius is the middle point between the Libra equinox and where we are today, which is said to be John the Baptist's birthday, okay, today. Well, tomorrow actually. So in the north here we have the festival of São João in Portugal, Saint John. It's basically John the Baptist. Um,
Mm.
and then the other reason he's a Baptist is because the sun is going into Cancer, and Cancer is the cardinal water sign, you know? So there's lots of astrotheological symbology in the Bible. And I've been reading the Adventures of Jesus, as I call it, the New Testament lately. And it's you can once you're kind of aware of this stuff, you can really see it in there, all that symbolism.
Mm.
So yeah, so shall I stop sharing this now?
Yeah, and let's move on to some of the slides.
Cool. All right. So let's quickly do another little share of the slides. It's only a couple of slides. So You start with this one?
Yeah. So sort of showing a little bit of that axis of the Earth.
Yeah, so this one's good because it shows the tilt
Mm,
of the axis. So it's showing it from this perspective so that we can see, we've gone from what we just showed on Stellarium was the sun now going from here to here.
mm,
And we can see that where we are now, the axis of the Earth is tilted most towards the sun in the northern hemisphere, and for you, most away. So
mm.
you got a lot more dark, and we got all the light.
Sure do.
Yep, suck it up, suckers. I'm in my vest.
Yeah. And in 6 months' time, we'll swap places.
Yeah, it'll be touche. Yes, like it was, like we said at the start when we started this stuff, it was the other way round, right? So yeah, it's the Cancer solstice. We're doing this on June the 20th. It's actually my solar return. So happy solar return to me, if I say so myself.
And so you do. Happy solar return.
Thank you. And it was actually exact about 5 minutes before we did started our meeting. So that's cool. Yeah, and then tomorrow early hours of the morning tomorrow here is the actual solstice time when the sun is above the Tropic of Cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got these eight festivals we talk about, and they're celebrated all over the world in different cultures with different names and slightly
Yeah.
different dates that have sort of drifted. But basically, you'll find most of the seasonal festivals are something to do with this zodiac cycle, even
Yeah.
if they've kind of forgotten where it originated from, through like Kali Yuga and stuff. So yeah, we basically, we've gone from there to there since the start of the tropical year. Yeah.
Very nice.
All right.
Okay.
And then we can show that on the next one. So all we've done now is we've rotated that to put Cancer at the top. Here Cancer's over here on the left. So if you
Hmm.
imagine rotating this one 90 degrees clockwise, we can
Yeah.
show
So
it
your
like this.
alignment with your northern hemisphere.
Yeah, sorry, it's all biased to the Northern Hemisphere. It's
Yeah.
but the good thing about the zodiac is it's not biased either way. It's the same. So in the calendar I call this the Festival of Cancer because the sun is entering Cancer and it's above the Tropic of Cancer wherever we are on the earth. But for us, this in this Celtic eightfold year um sort of structure where we're trying to bring back these nature festivals. They're all the sort of Christian festivals and everything we're based on.
Mm.
We would call this Alban Heruin in kind of more Welsh kind of language or Litha. Litha appears to be Germanic, but some of
Huh?
these terms are like Celtic, Irish Celtic or Welsh Celtic, or they're Germanic or, you know, Norwegian or Swedish or something. It's all a bit of a mishmash. But yeah, I think most neo-pagans, if you like, call this Litha.
So
Whereas for
what does that
you,
translate to?
yeah, it's like the goddess, the goddess of fortune and light. So it's like it's kind of I think she was called Fortuna, and she
Oh.
had the cornucopia, the horn of plenty.
Mm.
So she's basically holding a big horn full of like nuts and fruit and seeds and stuff. And I think that the idea in the Northern Hemisphere is if we celebrate this now with this goddess Fortuna with her horn of plenty, when we get to the end of summer, which she's marking the start of the summer of heat, we'll have a good
Mm.
harvest, at the
Yeah.
end of summer. So I think that's where it comes from. But for you, as we were saying in our pre-chat, this is definitely if you're a neo-pagan in New Zealand, you're going to be celebrating Yule. And I think you
Mm.
even mentioned some of your friends are actually having a Christmas thing, right? In tomorrow or something.
Yeah, a few people have midwinter Christmas at this time of year, as well as we've now got the official recognition of the Māori festival of Matariki, which goes for a certain period of time, but the official public holiday of one day is today, even though the festival goes for a certain time. So it's at this time of year, but they're in the Māori calendar. There's not necessarily a specific date because it's more orientated to being able to see the Matariki, which is the Palladium system, come up and see that in the horizon or see that in the sky.
Ah,
So
cool.
that's, yeah, that's, but
That's
so
yeah,
people are
that's
having
cool.
Matariki celebrations and family dinners, which is instead of calling it a midwinter Christmas, it's a Matariki dinner. So I am having a gathering with my family next weekend for Matariki to get together.
Oh,
Mm.
that's great. And of course they've got an ancient culture and they're basing that on what they see in the sky, right? With the Pleiades, with the stars, the star cluster, the Seven Sisters, as they call it. It's yeah,
Yeah,
which is in the the constellation of Taurus, right? It's part of
yeah.
Taurus. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense because that for us we can't see that because the sun's up here, but for you that's going to be in your night sky. Yeah. So yeah, it
Mm.
makes a perfect sense.
Mm.
Yeah, so these are just to remind everyone, these are the eight sort of festivals of the eightfold Celtic Wheel of the Year. And we're up here now on, well, we're up here. For you, it's down there, but it's Cancer for everyone. So yeah, in the Universal Celestial Calendar, I just call them after the sign they're in because it's the same then wherever you are, whether you're Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. You know, today well, basically early hours of tomorrow morning, the sun will leave Gemini and move into the month of Cancer, and it'll be above the Cancer tropic of Cancer, so it'll be at its most northerly highest point in its annual cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, peak of
yeah,
life.
the peak of light. Yeah. So between Taurus and Leo, for us, it's the summer of light. So, in
Mm.
in Shakespeare, Midsummer Night's Dream is set on the 21st of June, and he's saying it's the middle of the summer of light.
Mhm.
The peak of the light for us in the north, but it's the start of the summer of heat because the hottest time of the year is the middle of the summer of heat when the sun's in Leo. And in astrology, the sun rules Leo. So yeah, we just need to know if we're talking about seasons of light or heat.
Season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's because those things are sort of, well, when we talk about the festival of Cancer or Leo, or we use the zodiacs, that stuff is a lot more celestial, universal. Whereas I guess as we were talking a little bit before, like with these being festivals, they're sort of Northern European. So the festivals and the celebrations are much more culturally and geographically relevant.
Absolutely, Anna. And of course, like we were saying before, when Northern Europeans went and invaded, basically, and colonized, the southern countries, they took all that stuff with them. And as you were saying earlier, it was already Christianized by then. So all these kind of
Mm.
pagan festivals based on nature cycles had been kind of hijacked by the Roman Catholic Church. So
Yeah.
the Festival of Cancer, like I said, this is the festival of John the Baptist, really, in Roman Catholic countries. And everyone does symbolic things to do with peak light and water, John the Baptist stuff. So it's really celebrating that. But for you, to do that in the Southern Hemisphere, where it's completely the wrong season, makes no sense at all. It's much better actually if you have your Yule now, when it actually is seasonally for you. Yeah.
So what's your translation of Yule?
You've got the Yule log. Um, so yeah, I mean, I haven't prepared myself to talk about Yule, to be honest, but I think from memory, It's to do with the Yule log and stuff kind of growing, like fungus and that growing on the Yule log. So there's
Okay.
still some life in winter. And I'm totally winging and busking this right now. So don't like shoot me down in flames if I'm wrong. But yes, it's very much a Germanic winter celebration. And Yule is where we get the evergreen, the Christmas tree. It was
Mm,
actually the Yule, it's the evergreen tree is saying that there's still life even through the darkest days of winter. And at
mm,
Yule, we have dried fruit and nuts and things like this that we've harvested from summer and we've prepared in autumn, and they will sustain us through the winter. So a lot of what became Christmas Christian stuff was
mm.
basically before that was pagan kind of Yule stuff to do with getting through the winter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we'll just trust you got that one close enough.
Yeah,
So what
okay.
about how about you've got your so your solar return and now you've got the your festival of Cancer. So what are you gonna do for yourself this particular season or this particular festival or moment in time?
Yeah, because this is a moment in time conversation, of course, isn't it? Yeah. Good question. I'm just being honest with myself and going with how I feel. And this year, I really feel like being quite solitary and reflective. And I thought about getting friends together, and I'm just gonna kind of see my close mates one to one, and then
Mm,
I get more lunches, more coffees, more breakfast, more. That way. And you can actually talk one to one with people. I think when you get a big group, you can't always really interact well with everyone. And personally, I find it quite stressy to try and think, oh, I need to give attention to everyone. And so, yeah, this year
mm,
I'm just, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to be with myself. And I'm in a really great place. I'm super happy. Everything's fantastic. And I'm loving life. So I'm just really celebrating that. But tomorrow morning, I will be at my land watching the solstice sunrise over my cabin there and under my tree and having a little moment there. And I will be lighting some candles. So I don't know if you remember last time, I've got this little mat. I put my earth candle in the middle and I put the sun candle where it kind of is.
mhm.
So I'm going to have my earth candle in the middle and my red sun candle at the top in Cancer, like on this graphic, my sun candle's going to be here and my earth candle's going to be here, and I'm going to light them and have a little meditation.
Nice.
What about
Sounds lovely.
you?
I am feeling a little similar and feeling not um that needing to be a little bit more with myself and a little more reclusive. I
Yeah,
do, I'm quite sensitive to a little bit of the flows of night and day. So I have been feeling this kind of going into darkness. So it does feel like I have that New Year energy at the moment,
yeah,
which I wasn't feeling in the time of the equinox. I'm feeling it more now, which is also because I'm starting new things. But yeah, and so I feel a shift coming in that sense of really enjoying being able to move into the space of, oh, the days are going to get a little bit longer and increase that lightness. Because I have noticed if I have observed myself over the years, I do tend to get quite down and a little bit flat and into that sort of not necessarily depressed, but a sort of depressive state of, I don't want to be too external. So I have decided as well just to spend tomorrow on my own and yeah, spend a little time in space and be reflective. And then I am in the process of so I'm launching online yoga classes and I've gone through a rebrand and a redirection with my business. So the official sort of opening and launching of that is the 22nd, a Sunday here in New Zealand. which was still, well, actually for you, you can like, oh, I get to the evening, it's morning for the 22nd. So we cover the same day, whereas other places, not so much. And so, yeah, I'm kind of focusing on that and letting that sort of give that time and energy and space for that to sort of be a birthing into the world. Even though, like, I've been setting the scene, I've been doing a little bit of promotion and sharing, but this is sort of in my head where it really starts and begins. So,
Awesome. Yeah. So that's the subtle way, right? Can I say that?
yeah, yep, it's the subtle way. And so at the subtle way is about sharing practices, focusing around subtle energies. And it's also kind of integrating. It's a subtle approach, it's a gentle approach. We're not striving, we're not fighting, we're not trying to work really hard. We're trying to make the small, subtle, gentle changes. So the subtle energy yoga classes, so that's what I share, which I can do and teach people, and they can access classes and recordings, and it's the things people can do for themselves. Whereas in the subtle energy healing sessions, it's a lot more I'm holding space, it's a bit more passive for people. So it's sort of like two complementary aspects that are coming together, but are still offered a little separately. So I'm creating what I'm calling the subtle energy sanctuary. So loving that word subtle because it really works for me. And so I'm really focusing and directing that to really support people who are dealing with life disrupting conditions, whether it's chronic illness or life just sort of falls apart, or maybe going through a serious accident and you're not able to do things the way you used to be able to. I went through a period of very serious chronic illness and I spent a very long period of time basically bedridden, and there wasn't a lot out there that was accessible. Like I couldn't exercise, I couldn't get my heart rate up. So a lot of the subtle energy classes will be really geared towards being accessible for those people and being a little bit shorter and attainable. So that's the direction it's evolving at the moment. So I'm pretty
Beautiful.
excited.
I
Yeah.
love all of that, Anna, and I totally relate. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I used to have a band called the Subtles.
Oh wow. Love the name.
Yeah, I love the word subtle and the whole gentle, subtle thing. Um, yeah, and we were basically a spoof of the Ruttles, which was a spoof of the Beatles. So we were a spoof of a spoof, and it was very tongue in cheek. And basically, the album was called Subtle, not, because they were basically very kind of rip off of Beatle-y kind of sounding songs. So they weren't subtle at all. But so yeah, it was. But I love the whole subtle thing. And
Mm.
you've got a Telegram channel for that as well, right? And
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
so
on
we can
Telegram. Um,
we can put the link for that in the description.
Yeah, I'm trying to guide. I'm kind of want to create the reality where most of my work and business and expression and connection with people is on YouTube and email. That would be my ideal. So, but
Okay.
Telegram is great as well. I am on Facebook as well, and I do have an Instagram channel, but it's very small. But I'm posting there. But it's a challenge to try and keep back track of all of these things and do what you actually want to do and
Yes.
fulfill. Yeah.
And of course, then doing it in person where you are as well, and with people in the room as well. You're doing that as well, right?
Um, yeah, I'm teaching in-person classes at a small yoga studio locally here as well, and I will be doing some local workshops around Auckland, and we'll see how far they spread. So,
Nice.
we go on tour to other countries and things like that, and can offer those in other places at times if that manifests. That's what's meant to be. Just sort of seeing what happens, just doing each little step at the moment to
Yeah,
see what
that's
happens.
great. And in terms of us being in sync with the cycles, by the way, the clock says it's 9:30. I've got my real-time solar time clock here, where it's 5 to 8 in the morning, actually, by the sun. So my body is tuned to the circadian rhythms. This is my body time. Whereas
Okay.
the Matrix time is telling me it's 9:31. So yeah, I think I love what you said about all that you're doing, and it's great that yeah, for you, you're starting at, and this is the bottom of the solar cycle for you, right? So
Mm.
your light and energy is only going to go up from now on. And
Yeah,
I
so we're
think
also dark of the moon, so it's sort of
going to
that
say,
new.
so we got the new moon in Cancer coming as well, and of course that's going to be the new moon that's going to grow as well. So I think you're starting at a great time because it would totally make sense for you in the southern. I can totally see why you wouldn't feel New Year energy at the Aries equinox for you, because for you that would be the Libra equinox that where it's all going up and into spring, right? And plus plus, and the days are getting longer, So really, we should have two cycles, one starting at
Yeah,
Aries and one for the north, and one starting at Libra for the south.
yeah, it kind of help us a little bit. Or yeah, we have 2 New Years.
Yeah, and in
One's an end of year, one's a new year. Sort of thing.
Yeah, and in older calendars that follow this stuff, like the Hebrew calendar, they have a cycle starts in Nisan in Aries,
Mm,
and they have another one at like Yom Kippur, which is Libra equinox kind of time. So one's like a civil cycle and the other one's a religious one. But basically
mm,
you are really recognizing the northern cycle and the southern cycle. And it's the yin and yang, they're 6 months apart, which interestingly, symbolically, John the Baptist
mm,
he was conceived and born 6 months before Jesus, right? He was like the way shower in the story, The Adventures of Jesus, as I like to call it again. John comes first and says, "Oh, I'm someone else is coming after me, and I'm not worthy to tie his sandals," kind of thing. And I'm baptizing you in water because I'm the sun in Cancer, but he's going
mm,
to baptize you in the Holy Spirit. When the sun gets reborn and starts growing in intensity. And it says in the Gospels, I am going to decrease and he will increase. Well,
mm.
the sun at the Cancer solstice is only going to decrease. So that's the John the Baptist sun.
Yeah.
And
So
the
he's the
Jesus sun at the Capricorn solstice is only going to increase. So you got John and Jesus kind of doing this. And of course, 9 months before that, so John the Baptist is conceived at the Libra equinox, and Jesus is conceived at the Aries equinox. And we have the conception of Jesus sort of celebration at Aries equinox. So, the whole Christian thing is really sun symbology, astrotheology. You can read it that way and it really works. So yeah,
yeah. In the past, I've watched a little bit of Jordan Maxwell's
yeah.
presentation on history theology, and that's super interesting.
Yeah, if people are interested in this, Jordan Maxwell's stuff is great. There's a guy called Michael Tsarian, Tsarian. He's
Oh,
got
yeah, I
some
know.
great astrotheology stuff, and Santos Bonacci, of course. And I used to devour Santos's videos on YouTube. I mean,
I haven't
unfortunately,
heard of him.
yeah, he's an Aussie, like an Italian Aussie, but unfortunately, from my perspective, he went all flat Earth. Um, So I'm not with the flat Earth thing at all, but that doesn't mean all the stuff he did before that is now rubbish. Of course not. And
Mm,
if you want to look at he even called himself Mr. Astrotheology, I think, at some point, and he's got loads of videos where he goes into the symbology of Jesus turning the water into wine. That's the sun growing the grapes. You're using the water from the earth to grow the grapes, and then the grapes getting made into wine. It's all very symbolic kind of thing. So
yeah,
yeah, it's really interesting, this stuff, I think.
I have to check him out. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that yet. I hadn't heard of him. I'd mainly heard of astrotheology from Jordan Maxwell and Michael Tsarian. I'm not sure how to say
Sarian,
that.
yeah, Sarian, yeah. So yeah, and maybe the last thing we should mention is a bit of astrology. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, let's jump into that.
And then we can wrap it up. But yeah, I mean, if you want the details on this, Pam Gregory, PG Tips as I call her, she she gives great tips about all the astrology at the different key times of the year. So she's got a whole video about the Cancer solstice and the energy to do with that. Because of course, at the solstices and equinoxes, the astrology really is setting the scene for the next quarter, the next 3 months to come, yeah?
Yeah.
So the Cancer solstice astrology is really saying what's summer going to look like for us and what's winter going to look like for you.
Mm.
What are the months of Cancer, Leo, and Virgo going to look like? Um, and the main thing I just want to mention, and you can get all the detail with her, but basically, we've got Jupiter conjunct the Sun
Mm.
now, as the Sun goes into Cancer, and then back 90 degrees back at the Aries point, we've got so the Sun and Jupiter are square to Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries. All right, so we got
Okay.
Aries and Cancer, and we got Saturn and Neptune over here at Aries, and then we've got the Sun and Jupiter up here at Cancer. So they're in a square. So that's kind of, it's very benefic, the Sun and Jupiter. It's like the sun shining on the expansion of all the light and everything, very symbolic. But that you can get carried away with that, and you can overindulge and burn out and over party and have too much light kind of thing. So it's good that it's challenged in a square by Saturn, which is the more, hey, hold on, let's not go nuts, like Saturn says, whoa, boundaries. So
I always feel
Saturn,
like I got Saturn sitting on my shoulder.
yeah, right. Little, whoa, be careful. So Saturn conjunct Neptune is really containing the imagination.
Mm.
Because without that, you could let your imagination run wild, with the whole Sun and Jupiter thing. But Saturn's there just saying contain it and use all that imaginative energy in a really positive way over the next quarter, really. That's how I see it. So that's something worth checking out. And lastly, Jupiter is just at the start of June, early in June, gone into Cancer. So it's really good to look back 12 years to when Jupiter last went into Cancer.
Hmm.
And that was the 26th of June, 2013. So I found this really interesting. Like, because Cancer's the sign which goes with it's the fourth month, right? Which goes with the
Yeah.
fourth house, and that's all about home and family and roots and origins and compassionate sensitivity to others. And it's about the moon and the mother. So it's very homely, nurturing sort of thing. And I look back when Jupiter last went into Cancer, I just got my houseboat back at the time. And I was there with my girlfriend at the time, we were making a little nest and it was really a nice, homely little thing. So I found that and I didn't know any of this back then. So I found that really interesting. And now I'm doing a similar thing on my land with my cabin. So it's it's very homely stuff again. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you might want to look back to then and see what was going on for you.
Mm. I'll have to take some time to contemplate that.
Yeah,
Go
but
fishing through.
I find with all of those cycles with the zodiac, it's really interesting how these things come back around.
Mm.
So yeah, we got
Yeah.
some really great energy for the solstice, and yeah, I think on the 24th of June here in Portugal, they have the festival of São João, John the Baptist, and particularly in the north of the country, they like fires in buckets, and the guys jump over the bucket of fire to impress the girls, kind of thing, and and they do all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's basically summer solstice celebrations.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of the 3 days of either side of the solstice. It seems like the sun stands still, so it's sort of like that energy of this main aspect of the solstice is going a few days, which is interesting, like with Christmas. Uh, Christmas Day is basically 3 days after the solstice, so interesting little synchronicity there. We don't have the holidays, St. John the Baptist here, as far as I know. I
No,
don't
and
go,
we no,
I'm
and
not
it
part of the
wasn't
Roman
really.
Catholic Church, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
It was never a thing in Britain because it's more Protestant, the Church of England,
Yeah.
which broke from Rome, But in all the Roman Catholic countries like Portugal, they still have
Mm,
this São João, Saint John, whatever, Santa, whichever language you're in. Um,
mm.
and that's what and like you say, they don't have it on the 21st of June, they have it on the 24th of June. So it's 3 days after.
Mm.
Now, interestingly, this thing about the sun appearing to stay the same for 3 days, the place it actually does that is Rome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Because
checked this.
I thought it came out of Egypt, but maybe, yeah, maybe it comes out of Rome.
It comes out of Rome, I'm pretty sure, because basically here it's at least 10 days where the sun hardly moves at all up and down. It's point something. It takes about 10 days before it moves 1 degree back down again. And in the
Mm.
Capricorn solstice, it takes about 10 days till it starts going up in 1 degree.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if you set your stellarium for Rome and check it out, or your
It's
date
three.
and time, whatever, website, then it's 3 days. So that's quite interesting, right?
Very
Hijacked
interesting.
by Rome again.
What
So
is
I
the
think,
bro?
yeah, wherever you are, have a great Cancer solstice and a great. This has been another moment in time conversation, right?
It has. Thank you very much, Litmus, for this moment.
Yeah, thanks for a good moment to you, Anna, and maybe we do another one in Leo, yeah?
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Happy
Well, thank you
solstice.
to those watching and joining us and sticking
Yeah.
with us. Please leave any comments or questions. Love those.
Yeah, and definitely hit Anna up for some subtle energy stuff. I can
Mm, yeah.
I can recommend
Yeah.
that. I love
And I
reading
guess
your
that
posts. Mm.
mm. And I guess that aspect with the subtle is like one of the things I learned with dealing with these sort of chronic life disrupting conditions and all those things. If you try and push through it, it kind of hits you back in the face. So you have to make those improvements just a little bit at a time. It is a subtle and gentle process. And it's sort of, and then you reach a point and it's like, oh, you didn't really realize how much you'd improved until you sort of look back. So it is very
Yeah, and
much the subtle.
the other thing I love about that is it's very kind of Tao. It's a very Tao way of doing it, like just going with the flow. Just go with the gentle flow of the stream rather than, rushing over the rapids. And yeah, I think it's a great thing to share with people because, with the Matrix, it's all about rush, rush, rush. Like tomorrow, meetings, meetings, business, money. It's like it's all like it is kind of forcing pressure on everything. Whereas, yeah, everything heals much better when you just relax and chill out, right? And take it easy.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it's a process even to learn how to take it easy because we live in such a nervous system dysregulated society that is so disconnected, not just from nature and the seasons and the cycles astrologically, but even from ourselves. And, we get as stressed because of the way our physiology is designed by, say, oh, my computer broke, as say a tiger is chasing me, I'm about to die. But like,
Yeah.
a computer breaking, you're not going to die. But our physiology is reacting the same way. So
Yeah.
it's just not a healthy way to live.
It's a good point, and it's like, dude, if you think your computer dying is like a lion chasing you, get a life, right? It's like,
Well, it's like our physiology doesn't know, it doesn't understand.
no,
It's just designed that way to react to what we perceive as a stressor, and
yeah.
which, we're taught what is stress, and we're taught what we're supposed to react to. And
Dramas,
it's
mate, drama. Ah, you
yeah,
know.
got a little bit of deprogramming of
Yeah,
values.
de-dramatization.
I don't know. We're also human beings. We love our drama. It's so much fun. You get those hits of endorphins with a lot of drama.
Yeah, and
So,
too much soap operas too on TV and that probably we've grown up with.
but I mean, drama's been something that's throughout, long before television was around. We're human beings. We still like our drama with
When the
our theater.
tiger was actually chasing us. Yeah, cool. Well, it's been a great chat again, Anna. So, yeah, good moment and look forward to the next one.
All right. Good moment to you. Thank you.